If you're a Joburg, you'll be particularly interested. The City of Johannesburg has a new mayor. Geoff Makhubo was elected at a Johannesburg Council meeting earlier today. Last week's vote was delayed when Speaker Vasco da Gama stated that legal opinion was needed on the election process. Now, Herman Mashaba vacated the position after he tendered his resignation in October. Samkele Maseko out there for this announcement a little earlier. Samkele, good evening. So what's been the reaction to this appointment?
Very good evening to you, Yuveka. It's the DAs looked very somber, sad that they had lost the City of Johannesburg to the ANC in the election of Geoff Makhubo with 137 votes, basically being a simple majority in council, meeting the quorum of this meeting, 50% plus one of the number of councillors that were inside this meeting. So Geoff Makhubo is now the mayor of the City of Johannesburg, the executive mayor. I'm just going to step out of shot just to show you ANC supporters and members and some RC members sitting here jovially. As you can see, they are towing. You can see one of them, Julius Maputla, making noises and asking for interviews. I'm just going to, Mr. Maputla, you want to talk? Fine, talk. Mr. Maputla, how do you feel about the ANC victory as an RC member in this particular region?
The unfortunate part, my man, is that we also have a spokesperson in the ANC that has to relate issues that relate to the ANC. However, having said so, I think one should also commend the work done by the ANC in Johannesburg, including the province, and most of all our councillors that have stood the test of time, can by all means do what is right and complete what was a program and what will remain a program to return back to our priorities as the ANC, in trying also to prepare for 2021. That is basically 16, if not 17 months from now.
Thank you very much, Mr. Julius Maputla. That was Julius Maputla, who's an RC member of this region here in Johannesburg, which has just reclaimed the City of Johannesburg. But let's just listen to Geoff Makhubo, the new mayor of Johannesburg, speaking about corruption allegations against him of his company working with state capture and corruption alleged company regiments, which was in collaboration with the Gupta family, speaking about that 30 million rands which he scored from that particular deal.
We responded to those allegations. We were not faced. We thought that because especially the EFF wants to remain kingmakers, they'll throw everything. It doesn't matter who would have stood. They would have thrown everything at him or her. The DA, of course, we called Mashaba the poster boy of allegations. That's where he is. He said we stole 34 billion. Up to today, he hasn't proven even a single cent. So I'm not faced. We're going to move forward. The ANC has confidence in us, and we think that we'll do our best to service the people of Johannesburg.
Okay, well, Johannesburg, that is your new mayor, Geoff Makhubo, addressing those corruption allegations against him. But let's get some more on this. ENC's political editor, Vuyo Mvoko, here to tell us more about the man that many people might not know much about. Vuyo, good evening. So should we be worried as Joburg? Should we be worried that a man who's facing such serious allegations is now the mayor of Johannesburg?
I think we should, in spite of him trying to brush this aside, saying he had given responses before. It is not about responses. Here's a man who, for about 9 years, if the reports are correct, has been receiving money, millions, up to 30 million from what Amapungane have reported. Over the years, his job was to basically ensure that regiment capital, which has been deeply implicated, seriously implicated in state capture, he was receiving this money purely to make sure that that relationship continues, to make sure that his comrades here in Johannesburg keep pumping the money into regiment capital. He hasn't answered those questions. Responses are one thing, but giving adequate answers to allegations is something else.
That makes sense, and we're still trying to make sense of this. So one has to ask, I mean, How did this happen? How did we have him elected as mayor, as while we look at what some people are calling city capture, and that's still being investigated? So many questions. How?
He's a powerful figure in the region, no doubt about that. And that's what matters in the ANC. It's a person's ability to use the party's structures to entrench himself in whatever position that they may want. And what also worked in the ANC's favor here is that it had a great deal of arsenal. In other words, it could go and strike a deal with the IFP to say, look, we can give you some stuff in KZN, but of course, Samkele did ask this question before, and ANC Secretary General Ace Magashule refused to answer, to get into the detail of what the deal was. But I think it's a matter of time before we get the details of that. But what also helped, in my view, and in no small measure, was what's going on within the Democratic Alliance. Yes. The entry of Helen Zille has, driven away a lot of people who were loyal. Because if you look at who were loyal to Herman Mashaba, because if you look at the numbers, there is no doubt here that at least 2 DA councillors voted with the ANC.
So the EFF was right when they said there's no doubt.
The question is why, and Ace Magashule also said something about, well, you'll be surprised from the conversations we've been having with them, there may be more DA councillors coming our way. Now, that should scare a lot of people, because I don't have any doubts about the fact that whatever deal will have been struck there, it will not be a pure and one that would perhaps be in the interest of the people of Johannesburg.
The bigger picture for the DA as well.
So no doubt about that. But of course, the one, and this becomes, in my view, a test for someone like John Steenhuisen. And I remember a conversation we're having the day he was actually elected, where he actually conceded that both in Johannesburg and in Tshwane and in the Nelson Mandela Bay metros, the DA didn't deal with the coalitions there the best way that it could perhaps have done. Now, what then this suggests is that he didn't have, he didn't demonstrate any ability to actually do any better, and that should be scary.
So, what has the DA had to say about all of this? I mean, just
Mike Moriarty is obviously disappointed. Perhaps we can listen to a bit of what he had to say.
Well, I'm not feeling particularly good. I feel very disappointed that there are councillors that saw fit to vote in somebody who is thoroughly compromised with allegations of corruption. You all know about the 30 million rand contract that he profited from the City of Johannesburg. It's the residents of Johannesburg's money.
Right, well, the EFF, on the other hand, also looking at some egg on its face. Apart from now playing the blame game, saying, of course, the DA, some members have voted with them as well, thinking that they were kingmakers, that they were important, now realizing that they're not as powerful as they thought they were.
They thought they were kingmakers, but the ANC showed them that they could pull one,
That, yes.
But I don't think they played the game well, certainly not this time around. Perhaps they ran out of options, but they are sulking, and pretending they were still as powerful as they were under Herman Mashaba was a big mistake, which I think has cost them. But for both the DA and the EFF, it means that they can lose their bragging rights of saying, look, we have the interests of Joburgers at heart, and where we have to use our votes to exercise that responsibility, we will do so.
Okay, well, Floyd Chivambu, let's hear from him. We have a quick comment from him as well.
We note the election of Geoff Makhubo as the mayor of Johannesburg, but that doesn't take away the concerns that were raised about him, that when he was the mayoral committee member responsible for finance, he was also doing business with the city through his company. He was working with the regiment, the Gupta company, and he has got that relationship with them, but also was involved in a lot of other wrong things. So we are clear as the EFF, our conscience is clear that we did not form part of establishing a corrupt government here in Johannesburg, because what has just been established here, it looks like, with participation of the Democratic Alliance, it's a corrupt government of looters, who are going to loot this city.
Should make for very interesting local government elections coming up, I can tell you that. Thanks very much there. Well